What's up, everybody? So, I want to talk about this real quick because this is something that I've never heard of, and this tells you how far down the system is. Thank you, Harley. So, I have built an organization over the last 7 years. Okay. It's an international organization. It's a national organization. I'm an International Bar Association member. Hell, I can log into my e-portal and I can see every single case inside the state of Florida because I'm registered as attorney representative. So I built this organization. I'm a independent international ordained Christian minister on the North American Forum. I am an international bar member. And I'm the trustee of this organization. It's an international state, which is one organization that's out of Washington D.C., and the national side of this organization that's out of Delaware. So, in the process of this, I've had to go through this entire thing to get to actually get my Social Security number connected to my service number and get my authentication paperwork that the U.S. military has married my Social Security Administration service number to my Social Security number, which technically means that you have ascended out of, which makes you an American national. So you're no longer a U.S. citizen, you're actually an American. And you're supposed to go to probate court and get what's called exemplification, where you get out of the federal U.S. Congress, federal and state statutory maritime consumer system, and you get your civil liberties, your constitutional rights. So in the process of doing this whole thing and building the organization, all this stuff, 400 books and all this legal research and how this is supposed to work, everything's done. Court order, documents. I have a military court order validating it. I have the authentication paperwork where my Social Security number is married to my service number, so I can appoint a administrator for my Social Security trust. And I have all this done. And then I had to build this organization. I had to do an adjoinder with another organization so that we could build a trust, so we could put the assets in a trust internationally and nationally. Done. And found out the reason that they've been prosecuting Donald John Trump, former president of the United States of America, is because this is exactly what they didn't do for him when he finished the presidency, which left him in federal jurisdiction because they created a federal birth certificate when he became president, and they gave him a federal birth certificate, so he was under maritime federal law, but he was supposed to be under the Uniform Code of Military Justice while he was serving, and then when he got out, he was supposed to be same thing. Social Security number is married to his service number, and he gets to appoint an administrator, and that's how it's supposed to work. Well, they didn't do that for him, and that's why they've been dragging him through civil and criminal court, milking the actual proper term is exploitation of adult Social Security trust administration, because that's what these courts, all this stuff does. So I get all this stuff together, build the trust, do everything, right? Everything's done. And I decide to sponsor Donald John Trump because he's got the same problem I have. So I'm like, fine, you know what? I'll sponsor him. So I'm an international bar member. So I notify his attorneys that represented him in his case. I give him notice that I'm sponsoring him because I'm the veteran who has the marriage of the trust and of the Social Security number and the service number. And I'm sponsoring him. And I go to file in the probate court down in Charlotte County, Florida, where my DD-214 is recorded. And they tell me that it's wrong. I'm like, okay, well, what's wrong? And they tell me something's wrong. I'm like, okay. So I restructure it, send it back. Not filed. Restructure again, send it back. Not filed. Right now, it was filed under exploitation of an adult. It was filed under judge advocacy. And it was filed under appointing a new guardian. All these things are happening. Keeps getting rejected, not filed, not filed, not filed. 5 times probably. So I contact the court. The court tells me that it's not properly structured under civil law, under state statute. Mind you, I'm an international bar member under international law, basically the Geneva Convention and the United Nations. And I'm not a civil attorney. I don't practice civil law. And nothing in this organization is summoning anyone from any civil jurisdiction. In fact, the only people that are being summoned are either attorney generals or chief financial officers of government organizations to do an audit and find out where all the birth certificates and all of these records are that have been scattered all over the place, like the Office of Personal Management, where my federal birth certificate is, but there's no way to possibly get it. And where Donald Trump's is, so we can get this court order, basically getting our civil liberties and our constitutional rights as American national individuals, private individuals. This lady finally tells me that, I said, well, let's have a hearing, because I don't know, because you're saying this, but this is in there, this is in there, this is in there, it's all together. And she says, you are not getting a case number, and you to have a hearing, you have to have a case number, and you are not getting a case number. Court's closed. I think that violates, number one, it violates the Geneva Convention. So that's a international war crime. Number two, it violates the USMCA treaty. Number three, it actually violates the Florida Constitution, and it violates the American Constitution. It pretty much violates everything to close the court, especially when someone says, well, if you're saying it's this, I'm saying it's this, that's our opinion, let's have a hearing and we can figure out exactly where it belongs. And the statement is, you are not getting a case number. You are not allowed to come into this court. Hold on. Hey, stop it. So the court's closed, which is an international Geneva Convention human rights crime. Okay? And this is how they've been exploiting Donald Trump in these federal courts, because they actually did not process his paperwork. He is still in the maritime federal sector as if he never was president of the United States of America and was never commander-in-chief of the United States military. And this is how they're exploiting every single veteran. Because if the veterans had this, they could appoint their own trustees and they could get the services and everything that they need outside of the Veterans Administration, outside of being exploited by the VFW, outside of being exploited by the American Legion, outside of being exploited by the U.S. Congress. That's what's going on. You can't get out, because even if you get it all right and you get everything done, they will literally withhold a case number. And they're even doing it to the President of the United States of America. Should share this. Should probably tell him. Told his attorneys. I know this is attorneys, but attorneys are civil attorneys, which means they do not want him to know that this is how they're screwing him. And his own attorneys are probably screwing him too, because they're making a fortune off the administration of his Social Security trust. God bless. Godspeed. Catch you on the flip side.